Welcome back to another video. These videos are intended to teach men things they need to know, particularly young men. And in very particular with these videos, this particular one, the youngest of men. For I want to intro you to saving and investing. Now, I am by no means an expert. You're going to find a lot more channels on YouTube or on Reddit or whatever of really, really savvy investors, get rich quick investors, high risk, high reward investors. I just want to intro you to the idea. And I'm really talking to my son here, who is in a stroller in front of me right now, but might stumble upon this video when he's 6 or 7 years old. And I got to be honest, that's the one thing that those young guys, those young kids have a major advantage on over us, is that they still have so much time to really rack up that compounding interest. My God, if I had only been explained this concept when I was very young and really made to take it seriously, I mean, I'd be much wealthier. Not to say that material wealth is everything, because as Christians we know it's not, but maybe that wealth could have been shared or used in a good purpose. But I want to tell you guys about compound interest, investments. I personally have some investment vehicles that I like, and I'll talk about each of them in this video. I mean, first of all, the golden rule of saving money is just to save 10% of every dollar you make, and that's it. I mean, every dollar, you take a dime out of that dollar and you put it away. Put it in a piggy bank, put it in a savings account. Hopefully that'll collect some interest. I like that idea. My only problem with that idea, and I think it's a very good place to start, but I don't like, well, it's hard to say. Right now we're in an inflationary period. It seems like, especially now, there's always an excuse for the United States government to print more money, which absolutely devalues the value of your currency. So if you've got $100 sitting in a bank account, 5 years from now, even if it's collected a little bit of interest and it's worth $105, it's not going to be worth as much as what it was. Every time the United States prints money, your money goes down. That's the concept of inflation and printing money, and you can absolutely go and research that yourself to see what I mean. So while I do advocate to you, my son, and everyone, that it's good to save your money and do a 10% savings on everything, I also want to introduce you to ideas about different asset vehicles or assets you can put your money into or buy that will protect you against inflation and possibly deflation too. I mean, there is the idea that the entire debt economy collapses, money becomes king, and we go into a hyper-deflationary period, which will be very scary. Both hyperinflation and hyper-deflation are not good scenarios, right? Hyperinflation, a perfect example, is the Weimar Republic before the Nazis took power, or more recently Venezuela, where they're literally wiping their butts and burning the money to keep warm because it's so devalued. You might as well just burn it to keep warm, or eat it, or whatever. It's worthless. The opposite is when money becomes so valuable that the banks won't even let you take it out. And it's a very bad situation. So there are certain vehicles, certain assets that can protect you from inflation, can somewhat protect you from deflation. The best assets, in my opinion, are things that cannot be printed or given out or created at the whim of humanity, like fiat currency can, right? Anytime there's an economic problem, like now, we have this shutdown, we're just printing money to help people out. And a lot of people who are not familiar with how economics works thinks that is going to be just fine. And money is endless. And I don't know why the government never just pays for everything. It's such a nice situation. It doesn't work that way. But how to protect? certain vehicles, certain assets. Land, probably the best asset there is. God ain't making any more of it. I mean, not fast enough. If you're talking about land, I mean, it takes years and years for land to form, millennia. So it's not something you can just create on a whim. Land is definitely a super valuable asset. Like if you've got over $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 sitting in a checking account, you have got to consider buying some land. You should also consider buying gold and precious metals. Once again, not something that the government can just make on the whim. Its value is determined by its supply, like everything else, and the demand. And the supply of gold is very limited. It's hard for us to mine it. Same with diamonds, right? Well, wrong. Diamonds are actually a dime a dozen. Diamonds are not good asset saving vehicles because they can actually be manufactured. They can easily be found. In fact, the prices of diamonds are so ridiculous and ridiculously high because women love them. That's literally it. If there was no obsession with the shiny stone for women who want a giant rock on their finger, the diamond industry would be nothing. But going back to what I'm saying, I keep segueing. Land, gold, precious metals, silver, and platinum are good too. There are so many places to get gold and silver and platinum from. I think your best bet is either a very trusted online resource or a local reseller. And even you might even have some gold jewelry. You need to go find out what the quality is. Like, is it 18 karat, 14 karat? And then you need to weigh it and know how much you have, because it doesn't matter if it's sitting in the form of a chain or a ring. It can be melted down into the form of a coin or into just some kind of slip that could be more easily used for currency. So if you have silver and gold and platinum jewelry lying around and it's pure, you already own precious metals that can be returned for an investment, for a profit, or to store your money in. Other things. So there is crypto, right? And the crypto is really popular, and there are so many reasons to consider investing in probably the top 5 or just top 3 cryptos like Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Ripple, XRP. My only problem with crypto is that if shit really hits the fan and the internet is gone, crypto is absolutely worthless. It requires infrastructure and internet to run. So I do think it's a great vehicle. It is super high risk. It cannot be printed. So like crypto is set at the amount it was originally created for, and then has to be mined. And we're already about to hit the halvening for Bitcoin this year, meaning that Bitcoin miners are only going to get half the reward they got. So the value of Bitcoin should actually be climbing right now as we speak. But like I said, if we get hit with a bunch of EMPs or worse, and there's no internet, you can forget about Bitcoin. You need internet to make that work. But I mean, even a basic internet like satellite-based dishes that form a network could probably be fine. But I mean, you know, if we get reduced to the Stone Age, though, your Bitcoin is useless. You won't even be able to access it. You need a computer to access it. So that's my spiel on crypto investing. Just it is a much better store of value than $1 right now for sure, but it is also high risk depending on the situation with the internet. There are other kinds of investments, and I will talk a little bit about how I actually invest in the market. Like I said, I am not a high risk investor whatsoever. I literally just put like 5% of all my paychecks into really low risk, slow growth ETFs like VOO, BND for bonds, VTI and VBR, which are all Vanguard bank backed ETFs. that basically grow when the market grows and are down when the market is down. The only specific companies that I'm really invested in are like companies that I see doing really well and not going anywhere. For example, I invested in Amazon. It's not a huge investment. I put in, I bought 2 shares of Amazon like 2.5 years ago when they were $800 a piece. And I spent $1,600. That $1,600 today is worth $4,600 as of right now. Should I sell it? And that's quite a jump. Be quite a win to just sell and cash out. But my honest to God truth tells me Amazon isn't going anywhere and probably should keep it. Maybe when I see the rise of a real serious competitor to them, I'll consider selling. It probably won't be worth as much by then, but I mean, everyone uses Amazon. So I don't know, like that was a pretty big win. Microsoft, I threw $1,000 into Microsoft a few months back. I can see them doing very well. There are some other interesting funds that you might want to think about. There are oil funds and there are real estate funds that exist on the market. I don't actually own actual percentages of oil or real estate. Like I'm not in some kind of a real estate investment group, although it's something I'd like to consider because real estate is land. But I definitely can tell you, you can start investing in that stuff on the same exchange you use for other stocks. There are, like I said, real estate funds and oil funds. There are probably precious metal funds too. I just haven't found them or looked for them. But I want to tell you the platform I use and why I don't recommend it. So I use Robinhood, and I do not recommend it. I originally got in years ago because it was attractive with the zero fee stock purchases. Like I had a Charles Schwab account. I think I still do, but buying and selling shares is literally $8. $8. So I didn't have a lot of money. So when I'm investing $300, $8 is kind of ridiculous. So got in with Robinhood, but as I'm told, all these banks have, they're banks. All these investment companies have actually, reduced their fees to zero, basically, to try to compete with Robinhood. So you're much better off with like a Schwab or a Fidelity if they're actually not charging fees anymore for buying and selling, if that's the case. I do really like Robinhood. I do think it's super easy to use. I don't think, I've tried to do limit orders, and I don't think they work as well as Robinhood wants to pretend they work. Not only that, but I highly do not advocate. So I highly recommend you stay away from Robinhood crypto. It's nice that there's no fees, but you cannot keep your crypto with Robinhood, something that people always forget. You can with Coinbase and other gateways, but the problem with those is they charge steep fees. But the difference is those coins are yours, and you can pull them off Coinbase and store them wherever you want. With Robinhood, you're actually just buying this almost like virtual shares, if you will, because you're not actually able to take the coins off. You're really just buying speculation on price. So that's something you should also be aware of if you're going to consider using Robinhood for crypto. I could technically sell all my shares and go buy them on another platform. I don't want to do that. I can't transfer the shares. So I'm stuck with Robinhood for now. At the time, it made a lot of sense, but I'm telling you, my son, whenever you hear this, I don't know what investment options there will be in terms of exchanges you can use, but you probably don't want to use Robinhood. You might want to stick to a Charles Schwab. All right. To conclude, I just want to make sure you guys are saving money, 10% every check. And when that saving gets good and starts looking juicy, please consider moving it into a protective, appreciating vehicle like land or precious metals, possibly crypto, real estate, oil, funds that are slow risk but high low risk, low growth, but really low risk, right? Something that isn't just cash. I think one of the biggest takeaway I want for you guys is to not have the bulk of your savings be sitting in cash, because cash is worth less and less every day. That's it. It's a longer one. I'll post this around, and you guys have a great day.